watching the sports and political channel of LB. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Let's get down to business. So in this particular video, we're going to go through the process of narrowing down who could be the individual or individuals that snitched to the FBI that allowed them to go to the premises to retrieve those documents that was in the safe, right? Now, subsequent videos are already broken down how the FBI got this piece of information, right? And how the FBI was able to execute the search warrant. So I would suggest you go in the archives and listen to those videos that I broke down how the FBI got the warrant. Okay? Now, the question of the day, who's the snitch? Who is the snitch? I see y'all up in here, TJ Sports, Octavius TX Made. Salute to y'all. Appreciate y'all for being up in here. Who's the snitch? Now, there's a couple articles we're going to go through here, right? Where the first article coming from Business Insider, where former Trump Chief of Staff Nick Mulvaney said that the FBI informant could be one of 6 to 8 people in his inner circle. Now, Nick Mulvaney was very quick himself to say that he didn't know that there was a safe at Mar-a-Lago Ranch. Now, I'm pretty sure Nick Mulvaney has made many trips down to his Mar-a-Lago Ranch in Florida, and he was his chief of staff for 15 months. He didn't know there was a safe down there? So he was quick to eliminate himself from the equation as list of possible suspects. Okay? Now, article says Nick Mulvaney, former White House chief of staff for former President Donald Trump, has speculated that an FBI informant in Trump's camp did exist, then it will likely be one of 6 to 8 people closer to the former president. Now, he spoke to CNN on Thursday about the raid that happened on Monday. He said that he thought the informant whose tip-off sparked the raid was likely someone deeply embedded Trump's orbit and really close to him. Citing sources, Newsweek and the Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday that someone had told the authorities that classified documents belonging to the government might have been improperly stored at the Mar-a-Lago Ranch. He also goes on to say, Nick Mulvaney, that if you know where the safe is and you know where the documents are in the 10 boxes in the basement, you're pretty close to the president. He added that he did not know who the people in Trump's inner circle were at the moment, but was unable to provide specific names. Well, this is where, Detective LB comes in. What's up, Stephen Brown? Salute to you, right? Now, you see in the thumbnail, I listed 4 people, right? The top right, his wife, Melania Trump. On the left, his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, former chief of staff. His on the bottom left, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And then on the bottom right, there's Giuliani, a.k.a. Rudy Giuliani, right? His personal lawyer, right? Now, there's some other people you can throw in the mix. You can throw Ivana, right? That's his daughter, right? You can throw in Don Jr. You could throw in his girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle. And a wild card in all this is maybe Trump's second wife. Now that's the way out of left field prediction from me. Trump was married like 3 times, I think. But anywho, right off the bat, Melania Trump, right? And there was rumors that she was cheating on him with the director security at Tiffany's. When Trump was running for president, Melania was threatening to divorce his ass, but she stayed on when he won the presidency, right? Now, if you've been on, YouTube or whatever channel or whatever like that, you see them together when they go on certain trips and shit like that. And Trump was trying to get her to hold his hand, and she wouldn't hold his hand and all that. And she was going to New York like every 2 weeks. Matter of fact, for the first part of the presidency, she wasn't even coming to the White House. She stayed up in New York, right? Because she wanted that big, thick, long D, right? Now, of all the people that you heard blithering, blathering, bloviating about this whole situation when his house got ran through, right, by the FBI, and they took all these documents out, right? Who have you not heard from? And that should be your first clue as to who could be the possible snitch. You heard from Ted Cruz, you heard from Lauren Boebert, all the sycophants and suck-ups and suck puppets and sellouts and simps that's in the Republican Party was coming out here denouncing this raid. You had all the bootlicks in Fox News denouncing this raid. What a disgrace, what an outrage, what a farce. All the usual suspects came out and denounced this thing. So who have you not heard from? And that right there is your first clue as to who could be the possible snitch. Now, I've not heard from Melania. I've not heard from Nick Mulvaney. I mean, not Nick Mulvaney. He came out and spoke about. I've not heard from Mark Meadows. I've not heard from Giuliani, and I've not heard from Jared Kushner. So those are the 4 individuals to me that comes to mind as to which one of these people that's in Trump's inner circle that could be the possible snitch. Now, Nick Mulvaney also urged the FBI to release more information about the search. The burden is on them to show that they're absolutely on the up and up, and releasing that affidavit is something they can and should do. Okay, Nick Mulvaney. Okay, Nick Mulvaney. Let's peep game from a different angle, right? Trump has a copy of the warrant. Okay? Why don't you tell Trump himself to release the copy of the warrant? Oh, by the way, Merrick Garland has been playing chess this whole time while these Republicans were playing checkers. Merrick Garland, when he executed the warrant, was biding his time, waiting for these Republicans predictably to come out and start being all outraged and would start pressuring people like the FBI and Merrick Garland himself to provide context and to provide some information as to the process and what was in the warrant. Right? Well, hey, all they got to do is ask their fearless leader. Their fearless leader has a copy of the warrant. Why hasn't Trump himself came out and provided the information about what was in the warrant? Oh yeah, by the way, Trump, you got less than 2 hours to provide those the information to what's in that warrant. Because one thing Merrick Garland did, he got a judge, a federal judge, to basically give Trump the order to release those documents about what was in the warrant. So all these Republicans out here that was running their mouth, frothing up at the mouth, going off in a tizzy and in a whirlwind and a spin, about, oh man, they need to be more transparent about the process and what was in their search warrant and all that, right? Their fearless leader got the warrant. All Trump has to do is release the warrant. Now, why won't Donald Trump release the warrant? He has a copy of it. But see, it's not about the truth when it comes to these jackasses. It's all about uh, trying to win the news cycle. Now, Trump has a copy of the warrant. I apologize. I had a phone call, so that's why there was that long pause. So I apologize for that. All Trump got to do to make all this stuff go away is release what was in the warrant. Why won't he release the warrant? All these Republicans are up in arms about Donald Trump and how unfairly he was treated and how little respect he was given and all that bullshit, right? But they won't tell him to release the documents on the warrant. I'm just asking a question. Why won't they tell Trump to release the warrant? So, Merrick Garland called them on their bluff. He called their bluff. So, better give it up to Merrick Garland in this case. You got to give it up to Merrick Garland in this case for playing chess while these Republicans out here playing checkers. He called them on their bluff. Another article coming from the Independent, with each passing day, it becomes harder for a casual observer to distinguish between the post-presidential life of Donald Trump and that of late season Tony Soprano. They really compared Donald Trump's life to Tony Soprano, huh? Now that's hilarious. Really? Tony Soprano? Really? Really? Now that's funny. So who's the snitch? That's all we want to know. Who's the snitch? Now, Trump has had a hell of a week. All right? He's had a hell of a week. I mean, this probably had to be one of the worst weeks of his life, right? He's been, like I said, he's been searched by the FBI as part of an investigation. He pled the fifth in a separate case into his business dealings in New York with Letitia James, right? And I broke that down in the video I did yesterday. And now he's trying to find out who is the rat. Who was the rat that took the bait or the plate of cheese that the FBI put out there? Who's the snitch? That's what we're trying to know. Who's the snitch? Now, Trump himself apparently is speculating about which of his close aide or aides has flipped or provided sensitive information to the FBI over stuff that Trump was keeping at his Mar-a-Lago ranch. A story in the Wall Street Journal reported that someone familiar with the stored papers tipped off investigators and there may be more classified documents as a result. Newsweek cites two senior government sources claiming that the FBI warrant to the search Mar-a-Lago's ranch was based on information from a confidential human source who was able to identify what classified documents the former president was still hiding. Trump's opponents are making most of the rumors. The Trump professional tormentors at the Lincoln Project cut an ad goading the former president about possible collaborators in his midst. Of course, they egged it on by saying, who was it? Who gave you up to the feds? Right? Before running through a list of possible family members and associates who became a turncoat. Now, I personally have not seen that article. I personally have not seen it. You say you can't hear the live. Now, who was it? I'm trying to figure out who was it. Hold on. Hold on. So who was it? I'm trying to figure out who the devil was it. Now, his own staff has learned a lesson that a Trump is a stranger to loyalty or honor. They damn if they cooperate and damn if they don't. But since President rarely appeals to his followers, at least some of them are singing like birds. The rumors have stirred the passions of Trump's hothead capo, his own Polly Walnuts, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We all know there's an FBI informant at Mar-a-Lago who is that, and many other informants around Trump on a daily basis, working at clubs, working at Mar-a-Lago, or maybe Bedminster or on his own staff. That's that cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs lady what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. All right. So CNN reported that Trump had been advised to break off contact with Mark Meadows. The former president ignored that advice. Mr. Meadows is thought to be high up on the list of Trump's advisors who may face legal peril related to the events on January 6th. Well, that could be a reason why Mark Meadows flipped. Mark Meadows got his butt in the crack, and Mark Meadows can use that as leverage, probably grant himself some kind of immunity from punishment regarding January 6th. So there's a motive. That could be a second clue. So the first clue I mentioned as who really hasn't been talking about the FBI raid, right? So that's the first clue. The second clue is who has something to lose. Who has something to lose? So if you think that way, that pushes Mark Meadows right high up on the list of suspects, right? That also puts Giuliani on the list of possible suspects. Mind you, Trump hasn't paid Giuliani for him pushing out all that disinformation about the election in 2020, right? So Giuliani right up there high on that list, and Giuliani got his own situation going on, which I'm gonna talk about in another video, where the Georgia DA is shaking her fanny, no pun intended, at Giuliani to attend his hearing coming up really, really soon. Right? So, The reason Meadows is valuable is also the reason he is in jeopardy. He was basically at Trump's right hand throughout all the exercises and participated in key meetings and phone calls. Federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner also weighed in and singled out Mark Meadows as a potential flipper. That's what he said in one of his videos, right? Because Glenn Kirshner also has a YouTube channel as well. Do you really think that Mark Meadows is just going to sit quietly and take the fall for Trump? Maybe he's just volunteered to dive under the bus. No, he's not. He's going to cut his loss. He's going to cooperate. He's going to flip. He's going to turn state's evidence. He's going to rat Trump out. He's going to snitch. Another individual, Rick Wilson, that's of the Lincoln Project, believes it might be somebody much closer to Trump. Now, he thinks it's Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and former advisor. Now, there's another like Shakespearean scenario. Some of the most damning testimony from January 6 hearings came from not high-profile White House advisors, but relatively junior staffers and aides who happened to be in the room when key events took place. Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide to Mr. Meadows, who revealed the most shocking details about her boss and Trump's involvement on the day. Sarah Matthews, former White House press secretary, the deputy press secretary, who testified that Trump was pouring gasoline on the fire by encouraging the mob to march to the Capitol. If someone in Trump's orbit is providing information to authorities, it may well be someone whose name he doesn't even know. So there's a list of possibilities that could happen here. So, me personally, if I had to guess, if I had to put a wild guess out there, it makes all the sense in the world that Mark Meadows is the snitch for all the reasons that I just mentioned. All right. What's up, Quest X? Salute to you, bro. You think it's Kushner and Ivanka? That could very well be. And I had on good faith that reading the tea leaves and hearing through the grapevine that Trump don't even like Jared Kushner like that. Remember, Ivanka also came out and when William Barr was making his analysis about the whole voter fraud thing, and he said there was no voter fraud of that magnitude that could have flipped the election, and she testified in that January 6th commission that she agreed with him. Trump had a big problem with that. He had a huge problem with that. You see, they both want to be in politics. I have it on good faith they both want to be in politics also. So, but my money is on Mark Meadows. I think he's the guy that could be the potential snitch. Could it be Ivanka Trump? Yeah, it could be Ivanka Trump because she's in Trump's inner circle. She's definitely in this inner circle. So, we're going to get more details. This is the drip, drip, drip campaign, right? We've seen this drip campaign on what's that? Madison Cawthorn, yeah, that congressman in North Carolina in the wheelchair. We've seen the drip campaign on him. We've seen the drip campaign on Lauren Boebert, that porn star reject, right? But she was able to win her primary. God knows how. Only God knows how that heifer won that goddamn primary. But anyway, that roughest, toughest, hootinest, tootinest, shootinest hombre to come out the West. Now we're starting to see the drip, drip, drip campaign on Donald Trump. So, like I said, as we get more information, I'm going to pass it along on this channel. Now, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Share these videos on your social media platforms. This your man. Scream at me. All right.